My name is Anthony with Preparation with Purpose. Today's topic for our video is interview preparation. So I'm going to do some Q&As on interview preparation. I hope these videos are designed to help you guys. Again, just let's dive in. Let's get right into it. First question is, how can I prepare for a job interview the right way? The best way to prepare for your job interview is number one, first and foremost, know what's on your resume. A lot of times we are redesigning resumes, rewriting resumes because we're trying to customize the resume to fit the job that we're applying to. So most importantly, every time you update your resume, you must be able to speak to your resume in the interview. A lot of times this will make or break your opportunity of getting hired or not getting hired because you fail to speak confidently to your resume. Another way that you can prepare for your interview is every job industry has a set guideline of interview questions. Most importantly, when the recruiter or the HR representative contacts you for the initial interview, you should be asking them what type of interview will it be. Knowing the type of interview format is vital to your success because if you know that it's a one-on-one, if it's a panel style, or it's a group interview session, which can be uncomfortable. But just knowing the type of interview session that you're going to have, what format will be very beneficial to you interviewing with confidence. Now, I want to talk about other steps that you can take to interview with confidence is practicing. So what you can do is you can actually Google. So say, for example, if you're looking to be an account manager with Coca-Cola, you can Google account manager in the software industry interview questions. And when you Google those questions, it'll even come back with the answers for those questions. Now, I don't recommend basing your answers off of the answers that's provided, but I will say base the answers off of your experience and your situation so that way it conveys and it transfers more to genuine, authentic information from you. And then once you do that, practice answering those questions. Now take it a step further and record yourself, whether you use your laptop, a cell phone, or a tablet, but record yourself. Record yourself asking the questions first. So that way, as you record yourself asking the questions, you can play it out loud and it's as if somebody's asked you those questions so you can practice answering the questions. And then I want you to record yourself answering the questions. So as you practice answering the questions, I want you to record yourself so that way you can see your facial expressions. You can make sure that you're not doing a lot of ahs and ums because that's something I tend to do. But practicing your speech, slowing up your answers, talking slower, and that's how you'll be able to be more confident in your interview process. But I would say once you do that, then just, again, practice recording your questions, practice recording your answers, and then get to a point where you're answering your questions. And then if you have somebody that's able to help you, such as a family member or a friend, have them practice mock interviewing you. So that way they can give you feedback and tell you, hey, you're stuttering too much or you're not answering the question properly because you're skirting the question. But practice, practice, practice. That's the best way to prepare yourself for the interview. But also, the more you practice, the more confident you're going to be in your interview. So really be mindful of that. The next question is, what is the best way to answer, tell me about yourself? The best way to answer, tell me about yourself is tell them a little bit you want to be simple. This is your elevator pitch. You want to talk about your past, your present, and your future. Now I'm going to give you an example. I'm currently a customer service manager. I've been a customer service manager for the past 5 years. I'm currently a customer service manager at this company, and I feel like right now I'm looking for opportunities to advance my career. I feel like if I had the position here, that I would be a senior customer service manager, and I would be able to share my years of expertise and service to help advance your company and grow your market share with retention. Something to that effect. I know that was me on the fly, but basically you want to talk about your past, your present, and your future. And most importantly, your past is not about I'm born and raised here in Tennessee, and I love cats and I love country music. No, they don't care about any of that. They want to know relevant work experience, work information of how they can benefit by hiring you. That's what they want to know is how can you benefit them? And just simply put, tell me about yourself. What can you bring to the table? That's really what that question is stating. So tell them a little bit about your past, your present, and your future. Your future is saying, if I was, once I'm hired here, then what I plan to do is I plan to increase your revenue by 20%. I plan to make sure that your team is properly trained. I plan to make sure that our retention is increased. That our retention levels are decreased, and our customer retention is increased. So those are the 4 things I plan to do upon being hired here. and then let them ask additional questions. But have your elevator pitch. This is something that you can use at a networking event as well as in your interview process. You tell them about yourself. It's like you are an owner of a business and you're starting to pitch your information about your business and you're trying to get a high-end client. If you don't have an elevator pitch ready that's short and simple and concise and to the point, you're wasting time, and they want to know that you can streamline process and be efficient and effective in your communication. All right, next question. How should I respond to what are your salary expectations? This one will trip up a lot of people. And this is why in a previous video I talked about researching the jobs. Researching the jobs also entails researching the pay, researching what the market is paying for your role that you're looking to be in, but also knowing what you require in the role. Knowing your professional and personal goals, knowing your personal and professional requirements for the job is very, 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 very important. Knowing how much money you need to make, whether it's a salary or you're willing to be hourly, knowing how much benefits, knowing medical, dental, vision, 401k, if those are important benefits for you. That's those things that you must have that's included in the compensation package. Vacation time. So many different things, stock options, all these different things are things that you need to know what you're needing and also having a minimum of what you're willing to accept. And so when you go into the interview and they ask you, what are your salary expectations? You should give them a range. You say, well, based on, just again, going for the Coca-Cola account manager position, based on the market in the the general Atlanta area, the going rate is between $85,000 to $110,000. My desired expectations is to be between 95 and 110. If I can get that, that's what I'll be happy with that. And so being confident in speaking about what your expectations are, because most importantly, they want to know that you're about your business. If you're floundering, oh well, I'm open. No, you're open to minimum wage. Like, you need to know what you need to live, what you need to make a living, a comfortable living. And so knowing that stuff up front, doing your research and knowing what the job is going to pay. And there are other things too. With researching, you can go to the Department of Labor, Bureau of Statistics, I believe. I could be wrong, but I think it's Bureau of Statistics will tell you like market ranges for different jobs. Also tell you the growth of that job or decline in the job. And there's also other websites you can go to, like salaryexpert.com, glassdoor.com. So there's different websites you can go to get market research on pay. So that way when you go into the interview, you know how to answer that question confidently. And then the other thing too is that you're given a range. And so at the end of the day, what should happen if you're offered a job, that job offer, they're going to say, hey, this is the amount that we're offering. Don't immediately accept that offer because you know what your range is. And hopefully they will have given you a range when they ask you what are your salary expectations, and then you should say, well, what's the range for the pay for this role? This is what I'm looking for, but what's the range for this role? They should be able to tell you that, so that way you're making an informed decision. But very importantly, most importantly, that you're not pricing yourself outside of the market for that position. Be intelligent with your response. All right, next. What should I ask at the end of an interview? You should ask at least a minimum of 3 questions. The first question is just asking them, like, outside of the job description, what does the ideal candidate look like for this role? And it may not look like, or maybe that's not the best terminology of what does the ideal candidate look like. What are some of the preferred characteristics that you're looking for in this candidate? Of this person that you're looking to hire. And that should tell you more insight about being a team player, blah, blah, blah. And then you should say, yeah, that sounds like me. And then ask another question. Another question that you can ask is obviously next steps. You always want to ask, what are the next steps after this interview process? And so just like that, okay, well, it was a pleasure speaking with you today. I guess my last question is, what are next steps? I'm definitely interested in this position. You gave a lot of great information based on the research I've done about the company and about this role. I see myself as a really good fit. I can see myself growing with this company and helping the company to grow and do good things, big things here. So what would be next steps if I was considered to be considered for this position? And so wait for the response. They may say, hey, we're going to wrap up our interview going to wrap up our interview process in a few a few weeks or a few days, or by the end of this week. You should know something. Our recruiter should be in contact with you by the end of the week or whatever. But at least you have some feedback of what to expect. Other questions that you can ask depend on who you're interviewing with. If, a lot of times, in most roles, you're interviewing with somebody that may be your immediate supervisor or somebody higher up on the ladder. And so typically they may be your boss's boss or something to that effect. And if that's the case, ask them questions like, hey, what does growth opportunities look like? Especially depending on what you're looking for. If you're looking for career advancement opportunities, that is a great time to ask those questions. What does the training process look like? What does the onboarding process look like? What does yearly evaluations look like? Can I expect an annual pay raise or evaluation? How often are employees evaluated for their performance? But have at least a minimum of 3 questions. So many questions you can ask. It could be circling back to a question that they asked you and you answered it, and you might circle back and ask more information about that question. But you can also take notes through your interview process. So don't be afraid. Like, they're asking you questions, they're going to give you opportunity to ask them questions. So it is an interview. It's a get to know you session from both sides of the table. So please make sure that you're asking at a minimum of 3 questions. But depending on your role, you should be asking a lot of questions, especially if you're really interested in working there. You need to convey that you're interested in wanting to work there. But also be careful. There's a such thing as too many questions. So don't be, well, I'm going to interview now. I'm going to interview you now. It's my turn. No, be respectful, be professional. All right. And then the next question, how do I handle nerves or anxiety before an interview? I feel like I've answered that one. Just practicing your interview. Remember that the interview is just a conversation. It's just a get to know you session. So you're going to ask them questions. They're going to ask you questions. Be open and honest. Again, know what's on your resume. If you just stick to what's on your resume, don't be afraid. If you bring a couple of copies of your resume to the interview, so that way if it's multiple people, it's a panel style interview or a board that's interviewing you, then you have resume copies for each one if they need it. But also be looking at your resume. So if you got to revert back to something, because again, I mentioned as you're updating resumes, a lot of times you're customizing it for that particular job, and you may change your wording of your skill set to more mirror that job description of the job that you're applying to. So it's very important to know what your resume says and being able to speak to it confidently. So just practicing speaking to your resume is going to help you to get over the nerves and the angst of the interview process. Just take your time, speak slowly, and don't be afraid to say, hey, do you mind rephrasing that question, or do you mind repeating that question? But be careful not to do that too many times, or else they're going to think that you are maybe not competent enough for the job. They don't want somebody got to micromanage or babysit, but they want somebody that's going to come in and be a top performer right out the gates. So be able to speak confidently in your interview, and that'll help you overcome the nerves. I hope these tips and tricks help you. Again, my name is Anthony with Preparation with Purpose. I have more resources available on the website, more videos such as this, talking about job searching, interview preparation, resume writing, cover letters, networking. But I have a plethora of resources available on my website, preparationwithpurpose.com. I will be more than happy to help anyone that has additional questions. You can schedule a free consultation. I'll be more than happy to meet with you to let you know how my services are best able to help you. I enjoy doing this. I find passion in it, and I also just love helping people. I have a service heart. So definitely check out the website. If there's anything I can do, or just at a minimum, just like and subscribe to videos, and I'll keep them coming. Thank you. Have a good night. Goodbye, everyone.